Want to make your British English sound more natural? Well, in this lesson, we're going to explore 10 very British words and compare them with what you might hear in the US. So we're looking at British versus American words. Now, in this lesson, you're not going to learn slang or fancy terms. They are just solid, everyday British vocabulary that will instantly make you sound more authentic if you want to speak in British English. Hello, you wonderful people. Welcome to English Right Now. My name is Roy Woodhouse, and I'm a British English teacher with nearly 15 years experience. And I've taught in some of the top schools in places like London and in Cambridge. And today I'm going to help you learn some very typical British words, which will help you sound much more natural in British English. So let's dive in. First up, we have this word, which is, I know it looks like Q-U-U-U-U, but it's actually pronounced Q. Q. Now, queuing in Britain is pretty much an art form. It's something that we seem to absolutely love doing. It's basically where you stand in a line of people waiting for something. And I think if you just stood in a line, people would start to join you. Even if they don't know what they're queuing for, people would just seemingly get behind you in this line. Now, in American English, it's much more common to hear the word line, but we don't use the word line to talk about that line of people. We talk about a queue. So if you're waiting for a bus, you will stand in a kind of orderly line, and that is a queue. Now, you'll notice that I just used it as a noun, but we even use this word as a verb. I queued for an hour. I queued for an hour. So queue can be a noun or it could be a verb, but it is a very British word to describe that sort of line of people who are waiting for something. Next up, in the UK, we have the word biscuit. Biscuit is what Americans call a cookie. So notice first of all that spelling, biscuit. It looks like biscuit, but we pronounce it biscuit. Now, a biscuit is basically one of those, they're often round, but they come in a variety of different shapes. And as I say, the Americans use the word cookie to describe them. So a biscuit, we commonly use this with a cup of tea. So we'll have a cup of tea, and then we will, yes, I know it's real. This is real. We dunk our biscuit in our cup of tea and then take a bite of the biscuit. This word is essential for any tea break. Now, one thing I will say, we do also use the word cookie in British English, but a cookie in British English is a specific type of biscuit. Now, it often is sort of round and it comes with chocolate chips in them, and it's often quite gooey on the inside. So in British English, we say biscuit, while in America, they would be more inclined to say cookie. But obviously, as I've just said, we do also have that word. Next up, we have trolley. So when you go to a supermarket and you're planning to get quite a few things, as we seem to often do when we go to the supermarket, you need that thing with the handles and the wheels and you push it along. In British English, this is called a trolley or a shopping trolley. In America, you're more likely to hear the word cart. So when an American says shopping cart, we say shopping trolley. So the next time you're in the UK and you decide to go to a supermarket, if you really want to, please use the word trolley, don't say cart. And if you're thinking about that thing that we hold in our hands, that's called a basket. Basket. Need a break? Need some time away from the busy world of work? Well, it's time to go on holiday. Holiday. So in America, they'd be more likely to use the word vacation to what we refer to as a holiday. So a holiday, if you go on holiday, it means you're going on a break. You're getting away from your normal routine, and you maybe go to the beach, or you go for an extended period of time, maybe a couple of weeks away on holiday. It basically means getting away from it all. But one thing I will say is in American English, they do also talk about the holidays, and the holidays refers specifically to the Christmas period, the Christmas holidays. Whereas in holiday for us generally means anything which is a break from the normal routine, often where we go somewhere else. It's about taking a break. So in British English, Add that British touch and say holiday, not vacation. Vacation is very American. In Britain, we don't normally use the word candy or the plural candies to refer to those things that we eat and they're in the wrapper and then we eat them and they're very sweet. We call them sweets. So you'd have one sweet or two sweets. So effectively what we call sweets, the Americans call candies. Don't use the word candies in Britain. We don't use that word specifically. We use sweets. And if you've got what they call a love of all things sweet, we often say you've got a sweet tooth. So if you've got a sweet tooth, ask for sweets, don't ask for candies in the UK. Where do you live? Do you live in a house or do you live in a... Wait a minute. So in American English, what they refer to as an apartment, in British English, we call a flat. Now, a flat is a self-contained housing unit, often on one floor, so it's not over multiple floors, and it occupies part of a building. It's in a bigger building, something we're going to talk about in a moment. And if you're renting a place in London, you're probably going to get a flat. It's like a self-contained on one floor. So that's quite simple. Where Americans say apartment, we would say flats. But I mentioned about the building. So a building that contains flats is known as a block of flats. A block of flats. So we have that preposition of in the middle, whereas in America, they would call it an apartment block. An apartment block. So the word block is in a different order in British English compared with American English. So don't say a flats block or a flat block. It is a block of flats in British English. And do let me know what type of house or home you have. Here's one that confuses a lot of people. So that big vehicle that exists on the road that the Americans use the word truck to describe, we say lorry. So if you see that big vehicle that's often pulling a container, in British English, it's called a lorry. So on British roads, you will see lorries, not trucks. Trucks is the American word. In the UK, when you want to write a letter and you send it to somebody, we send post instead of mail. So you don't mail a letter, you post it. And if you're waiting for something to come through the letterbox, you're waiting for the post. And even that little box where we put our letters in on the street, we call that a post box. Now, I do hear in the UK more and more people using the word mail, but technically mail is the American word and post is British. So if you're in a block of flats and you live in a block of flats and you need to get to the top floor, you will need to go up in the lift. That is that thing which goes up, the machine which kind of goes up, you get in it, you press which floor you want and you go up. It's called a lift. Lift. Now, the equivalent in America would be elevator. Elevator. But in British English, we don't tend to use the word elevator. It's much more natural to say lift. So the next time you need to go to somebody's flat on the 15th floor, say, "Excuse me, could you tell me where the lift is?" It's a very sort of everyday British word that's very easy to adopt. And finally, if you've got something that you want to throw out, you would put it in the rubbish bin. Rubbish bin is our version of the trash can or garbage can. So rubbish is our garbage and can would be bin for us. So rubbish bin. So if you need to throw something away, maybe a bit of rubbish around the home, you would throw it in a rubbish bin. And there you have it. There are 10 everyday British words. They're not slang, they're not fancy words. They are everyday vocabulary that we use on the streets, and it will give your English that authentic touch if you really want to speak in British English. Let me know in the comments below which word is new for you, or, which other words you know that are different in British English and American English. And if you really enjoyed this lesson on British English, please do like this video, hit the subscribe button, and I will see you in the next lesson.